On the 19th of October 2021, the first ever Bitcoin ETF started trading in the US markets. The fund manager for this ETF is called ProShares, which is one of the largest ETF fund managers in the world, with many popular ETFs like their leveraged S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100 ones. They currently have over $50 billion in assets under management, so this isn't some dodgy first-time company who wants to launch an ETF and decided to choose crypto because of the hype. Some people, including myself, actually thought that the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, or GBTC, which is actually held by Stashaway, was a Bitcoin ETF, but apparently it's not. This Bitcoin Strategy ETF though is a real ETF and it trades under the ticker BITO or BITO. In just 2 days since it started trading, it has reached an asset under management of $1.1 billion, making it the fastest ever ETF to hit that $1 billion mark, blowing out other popular ETFs like ARK Invest. Ironically, the previous fastest ETF to hit this $1 billion mark was the SPDR Gold Shares ETF, which means that Bitcoin is not just displacing gold as a store of value, but it's also taking away all its records. I'll talk about everything with regards to this ETF, whether I will be buying it, and why I think this is important for the entire crypto industry. So stay tuned till the end. Cha-ching! Since this is an actual ETF that is trading on the US markets, many investors can just buy it from any broker that allows purchasing US equities. If you can buy the S&P 500, ARK-K, ARK-G, whatever it is on your broker, then you should be able to buy BITO as well. For example, both my brokers, Webull and Interactive Brokers, already have this on their platforms. I can buy it anytime I want with just one simple click, and I don't have to request any trading permissions for crypto or anything like that. This means that people who don't trust or don't want to use crypto brokers like Luno, Binance, or even Coinbase can now easily get exposure to Bitcoin using the same broker that they use to buy their boomer stocks. But a key thing to note with this BITO ETF is that it doesn't actually hold any real Bitcoin. Instead, they use investors' money to get exposure to Bitcoin through futures contracts, which is basically an agreement to buy an asset at a selected price on a certain date. Even though this is an agreement, it's very unlikely that these contracts will be executed on. Most of the times when the expiry date is coming up, what people will do is that they will just roll it forward, meaning they will close this contract and then buy a contract 1 month or 2 months down the road. What this means is that this BITO ETF will never use investors' money to ever buy Bitcoin. Instead, it will just continuously buy Bitcoin futures to sort of try and track the price. Because of this, the price movement of the actual Bitcoin and this ETF may slightly differ, and ProShares even mentions this on their website. Still, I think that it should track it pretty closely, but we'll still have to see. For providing this service, ProShares does charge an expense ratio of 0.95%, just like any other ETF, but this is rather expensive. With a $1 billion asset under management in just 2 days and a 0.95% expense ratio, they should be already raking in about $10 million in annual revenue. Be right back. I'm not going to be starting my own ETF. Instead, let's talk about whether I would invest in BITO. I'm going to keep this very straightforward and simple for you guys due to the fact that this ETF only holds Bitcoin futures and has a high expense ratio. I will not be investing any of my money into this ETF. Having a Luno account and being able to buy Bitcoin directly, I just don't see any reason why I would buy this instead. This would make more sense for people who don't have a crypto broker or don't know how to use them. Or it could also work for people who prefer to have just one portfolio that manages all their investments like stocks, bonds, and crypto. For me personally, I already have so many brokers, so I don't mind this at all. I'll be sticking to Luno for my Bitcoin investments, and I'll be literally hodling on until it reaches the moon. If you want to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, or a few other crypto, then check out Luno. It's a great platform. You can use our code LUNOMF50 and you'll get 50 ringgit worth of Bitcoin once you've invested 500 ringgit. Anyway, having said all of the things about not investing in this ETF, many people, including myself, still think that this is a big step for the crypto industry. First of all, many people have tried to come up with a Bitcoin ETF ever since about 2013, but it kept getting rejected by the SEC due to volatility and manipulation. Apparently, Bitcoin is subject to manipulation, but members of Congress buying and selling stocks is not. Anyway, with this ETF being approved, it's a big step forward for the crypto industry as a whole and for the wider acceptance of crypto. Just 3 days after ProShares launched their ETF, a second Bitcoin ETF is coming with Valkyrie as a fund manager, and I've also read news that there are a few other ETFs that are going to be coming up replicating this model. The funny thing about this Valkyrie Bitcoin Strategy ETF was that they were nearly going to name it BTFD, which obviously means buy the dip. If they actually went through with that, I'd be withdrawing all of my crypto investments elsewhere and putting it into this ETF, because with that kind of ticker, how can things go wrong? Anyway, even though I'm not personally invested into these ETFs, it does allow a much larger group of investors to finally get a taste of Bitcoin. Also, this could just be the first step for Bitcoin ETFs. In the future, they could actually track the spot price of Bitcoin and even hold Bitcoin themselves. We could even see an ETF where, for example, we can buy shares of this ETF using a normal broker, but at any point we can redeem these shares for real Bitcoin. The possibilities are endless, but like I mentioned, this is a big step forward for the crypto industry as a whole. Don't you think all of this is a bit ironic though? There are a few ETFs which usually hold stock who now want to hold Bitcoin, and then on the other end, there are crypto brokers like Coinbase who want to allow users to buy tokenized versions of stocks like Tesla. So ETFs usually hold stocks, now want crypto. Coinbase usually has crypto, now wants to have stocks. They both want each other's markets. So to conclude all of this, BITO is the first ever Bitcoin ETF to start trading in the US markets. Due to the way it holds its exposure and the expense ratio, I won't be putting any of my money into this for now. I'll stick to Luno for all my crypto needs, but I do see this as a big thing for crypto as a whole, and I know a lot of people are very excited for this and what it could bring in the future. Let us know down in the comments below, would you buy this ETF? Thanks for watching the video to the end, guys. Give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.